Okay, hi there. I'm going to read a couple of poems from my new collection, which is called Planet-Shaped Horse. And it's a narrative sequence about a man who is being held in a halfway house, more or less against his will. It's sort of semi-voluntary, having been sectioned in the past, and he is about to enter normal society again. But he's being assessed at the moment, and all the poems are from his point of view. So he narrates the whole thing, and therefore everything is slightly skewed, I guess. And I'm going to start with one of the early poems from the collection, which is called 101 State-Sanctioned Practical Jokes. Today they carpeted the inside of my piano. It sounds like an old couple kicking over a jumble sale. I bite into a tomato, and when I look at it, it looks exactly like the mouth which bit it. Don't play with your tomato, says Simon, and I laugh. The activist is being interviewed. A writer or a fish stick, says the radio. It's up to you. I have always hated the activist, but now I'm not so sure. Maybe you can't drive around in being really well read, honking at pretty girls as they totter between clubs. Maybe you can't admire the muscle definition of intellectual rigour in a full-length mirror. But we are starting to see the activist's point, that we, too, are cowards and bullies. When the activist gets home at night, he climbs into a sachet of preserving agent. When the activist shoots us in the stomach, we curl around the bullets like cats. As with every recording I've ever done, I have a slight head cold, so I apologise for my sinusy inflection. This is a slightly later poem. Simon and Miranda, the named characters, the client is never named, are the caseworkers of the narrator. And his relationship with them is very much sort of doctor-patient kind of relationship, which he attempts to question throughout. And this is about 2/3 of the way through, and it's called Snob. Miranda is reading a book called The Rasp of True Contrition. That wasn't a line break, it's actually typeset like that on the cover. I am thinking, editorial note, this is actually too upsetting to include. And prodding a silver grapefruit with a spoon. Should I be worried? Either every thought matters, or no thoughts matter whatsoever. I put this to Simon. None of them matters, not a single thought matters, he says. Thoughts are just the goopy blue stuff in the spirit level. The bubble is what matters. Miranda looks up from her book. The book is bound in blue leather. It is at least 1,800 pages long, and so heavy I can hear her wincing to keep hold of it whenever she turns a page. It is solely the thoughts which matter, she yells. I suppose to you, the owls sound like they're saying, Ted Hughes, Ted Hughes. But they're not even sometimes. Your name is sort of like an inside-out Amanda, I tell Miranda. That's why I like it. A hard rain falls on the walled garden. To read an amateur novelist, you'd think thoughts arrived like emails. In my head, I draft an essay on dialogue in poetry, but then I get bored and start shouting, you call this living, you call this living, you call this living, until Miranda tells me to knock it off. Maybe I should take a walk. The gate has no lock, but is operated by credit card, charging you £1,500 each time you swipe to open it, soon to rise to 3,000, and then to up to 9,000. But I figure I can take that. The gate has pretty competitive rates of interest for the first 18 months, so I leave for the felt hills. As we are currently following the controversial let him do whatever he wants, in the vain hope it might teach him about consequences, school of therapy, Simon calls, bye then, and Miranda sighs like an inflatable. The evening light glints off the craft knife bushes.